A lot has changed since I finished my program, from changing my status from student to a full-time worker, from finding a job that is in line with my program of studies, and of course, like life in general. So in this video, I'm gonna talk about all those. Hi, I am Eartha and I'm a former international student here in Alberta, Canada. And I graduated from my program last May 2023. So let's dive into the video. My term ended in winter 2023 and around February, I had to submit an application to graduate. So after that, I was sent a letter with some instructions on how to go about graduating. My program ended in April 2023, but my letters that I require for PGWP can only be released in May. There's a month that I don't know my status and I didn't know what to do then. But in that same letter that my college sent, it is stated there that I can work for 20 hours during that month. So please know that although you're done with school, you're still not allowed to work for full-time unless you applied for your PGWP permit and you've received the correspondence letter stating that you are an implied status and can work for more than 20 hours or whichever the restriction is during the time of your study. In that 1 month, you can do kind of a lot of things. It's kind of your break before you officially enter the corporate world or the workforce. So some of my friends, what they did during the month while they're waiting for their PGWP letter and official transcript of records is they took a vacation. But since you are no longer a student, it is kind of a gray matter as to whether or not you can leave Canada and visit other countries or not. In my case, I did work and I spoke to my employer at that time and told them that I can only work for 20 hours and they've acknowledged that. So better to speak with your employer and see how best you can deal with the situation. Going back to the documents, the PGWP letter and the official transcript of records, you will receive it, well, at least in my school, Bow Valley College, I've received mine through a third-party website, which is called MyCreds. So what I did was I created a MyCreds account and I went back to my BVC portal and changed my email address to the same email address I use for MyCreds so that they can be linked together. I'm not really sure if MyCreds is used for all campuses here in Canada, but it is a secured place where you can only access official academic documents through links, and every links and every downloads that you do requires payment. So since I need those two documents, I need my PGWP letter as well as my official transcript of records, I had to pay $30 in total because each document and each link that you share is equivalent to $15. There's also a caveat about that because although my college states that I can receive those two documents I require for my PGWP in May 26, which is a Friday if I'm not mistaken, I still needed to wait for another 2 days because it doesn't reflect on the MyCreds yet. So what I did in my case, I had to go back to my employer and tell them that unfortunately, since I am still not an implied status, I have to stop working. So in my case, I did file for a leave, kind of a leave, for 7 days until I receive my correspondence letter. I also told my employer that if in any case I receive my correspondence letter after I filed for my PGWP application, then I would let them know so that I can start working. So if you're interested to know how to apply for your PGWP or postgraduate work permit, then you can check on my video on the I. So this is my timeline from when I stopped studying until I had my implied status. So my term officially ended in April 28th, and then I had to wait for a month before I can get my papers from my college. So in May 29, that was the time that I applied for my PGWP because I had to wait for the MyCreds reflection. And a day after, May 30, I received my correspondence letter stating that I'm already an implied status. After that, I received my official PGWP or my postgraduate work permit in June 12, 2023. So that is my timeline. And of course, each and every one has different timelines. Since I studied for a 2-year program, I received a PGWP of 3 years. And aside that, I received an ETA, which will expire after 5 years. If you're applying for your PGWP or postgraduate work permit, you have to make sure that you comply with the eligibility requirements. So first is that you have to make sure that you are a continuous full-time student, except if it's an official term break or your last official term of your program. So those two schedules, you can be a part-time student. In my college, full-time student is someone who's taking 3 to 5 courses, and a part-time student is taking 2 or less. If you are doing transfer of credits, you still have to make sure that you are a full-time student. And lastly, one of the most important thing is you have to make sure that you have taken more than in-class or traditional courses than the online courses. So please take note that not all programs have an official break. So you have to make sure that you know your program, you know your official break, and make sure that your course mode is mostly in class. Let's talk about convocation or graduation ceremony. So it's one of the most exciting things that happened to me because I get to go on stage and really feel that I'm already done with my school. 2 things you need during graduation is first to buy your tickets because in my case, we are a lot. So during our graduation convocation, it is us, business, I know there's also tech, and the Center for Entertainment Arts. And since there's a lot of students graduating, there are also a lot of guests. So there is kind of a shortage of tickets. And in my case, during my convocation, we're only allowed to buy 2 tickets. Second thing that you need for your graduation would be your regalia or your gown. And they will actually send you a link saying that you can reserve your regalia online by paying online. And I would suggest that you do that because in my case, I paid online. During the first day, I heard that there were a lot of issues because a lot of students went in line but they didn't pay, which caused a lot of delays during the transaction. A friend of mine who came in on the first day to get his regalia waited for about an hour and a half, even though he paid online. So in my case, of course, I didn't want to wait an hour and a half to get my regalia. I went on the second day, which is the last day, and I came in early. And although, of course, it depends on the situation, the time for rentals is not yet up since I think it was about 7 of us who came in early and have paid online, they allowed us to get our regalias right away. One of the biggest things that happened to me right after my graduation is, of course, looking for a job that is in line with my program of my choice. So I took supply chain program, and of course, to maintain my eligibility and for my future plans, I wanted to make sure that I get a job in supply chain, which is tier 3 and above. If you're not really familiar, if you're planning to apply for your PR or permanent residency in Canada, you have to have at least a job or an offer that is tier 3 and above. I started applying around February, and it took me about 3 to 4 months before I actually landed the job that I have right now. I use the platforms Indeed and LinkedIn to search for jobs. And I would say that those are the two platforms that I feel comfortable with using for job searching. I found a job that I'm having right now in Indeed, and what I type and what I search for during my job hunting days was new grads supply chain, since I have a supply chain program. During the 3 months of my job hunting, I was receiving interviews. So I would say I am going for interviews at least twice a month. And job hunting is different when you are already looking for a full-time work, because most employers, especially the jobs that I am looking for, the tier that I am aiming for is quite high, and most of them require certain experience. And since I do not have a supply chain experience, it was kind of difficult looking for jobs. I'm not a recruiter. I'm not a talent acquisition officer, so I wouldn't really know. I would say it's not only experience that companies look for. So there are a lot of factors, including how culturally fit you are with their company, how you present yourself and answer questions during your interviews, and your transferable skills. Because during my interview, although I didn't have any experience in supply chain, I was asked a lot about my previous experience and how I can relate it to the job that I am applying for. I know there are a lot of advice that before coming here in Canada, you have to check your background and see which one would work best, or which program is aligned to your previous jobs or previous education. But if you do not have any experience on a particular field, or you're coming in with a clean slate like I do, I'm from hospitality, no direct experience in supply chain, but I still managed to have a job in supply chain. So do not be worried. Trust in yourself, trust that you have an education because you are studying here, right? So trust that your college is giving you the right education that you need to land a job, and make sure that, of course, you present yourself well, see if your attitude, your values fit the company, and I wouldn't be surprised if you get a job even though you don't have any experience. So that's my update to you. Those are the things that happened to me right after graduation. Those are the things that I needed to go through immediately after I finished my program. If you're in the same phase like I do, you're done with your program, congratulations, you did it! Ooh! And we're heading on the next step. But please, please, please make sure that you take care of yourself. Do not feel pressured. Try to focus on your path, because right now it's kind of different because each and everyone has their own timelines. Try not to compare yourself because it will add pressure on you. And try to stay positive. You've done all the hard work, and I'm sure that your hard work will not go to waste. It will have a reward after. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me on my social media account, Alberta, or comment your feedback and suggestion on the comment section. Okay, that's it for me. I'm actually going to work right now and it's time. So I guess I'll see you on the next video. Bye for now.